Hey everybody, Josh Morris with the Everything Paranormal Show, and I am coming to you with a very special guest on a very special night. We did a special broadcast just for Shari DeBenedetti of Travel Channel's Ghost Nation. Shari, how are you doing? And thank you for joining us tonight.
I'm doing great, and thank you so much for changing your schedule for me.
That's not a problem. Not a problem. We're here to accommodate. That's what I do.
Thank you.
So let's just dive right in. And can you tell the folks that are watching, and I know they're going to be pouring in here hopefully soon. And now we will maybe look at take some questions a little later, some appropriate questions from people. But can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself in the beginning of things?
Um, well, Jesus. So how I got myself started? Is
Yeah,
that what you
sure.
mean?
Like in the very,
Oh, way
take us
back.
back to that beginning.
Um, so about growing up, I think that I've experienced a lot of stuff with either like seeing things or hearing things, but I really never um knew what they were. Um, I didn't really know about, ghosts or anything like that. So I just always just ignored things, and and not until I was in my 20s, um, I lived in a house that was haunted. And
Jeez.
well, in the beginning it wasn't haunted, and then a couple of years later it was. So a lot of these things kept going on with between like doors opening and closing, lights going on and off, footsteps, um, knockings. I mean, just so many different things. My mother had this regular apparition that she always saw, like full body apparition that she always saw, but nobody else saw any of us never seen it.
Wow.
Um, but one night I came home. The one night that got me into this whole thing was I came home at night after visiting my boyfriend, which became my now ex-husband. um, um, as soon as I got into bed, I just put my head down, and all of a sudden something grabbed my ankles and held my ankles down. And
That
so
would
then
be
I went,
terrifying alone. Just
you
that.
know, so I kind of like went up to go and see what it was. And then when I did that, they grabbed my wrist and put my wrist down. So both my wrists down. So then, I went down, and then I lifted up my head because I wanted to yell out to my parents down the hallway. And then they put their hand over my mouth and then put my head down. And, um, and it wasn't like pressure. It would like, it felt like hands.
Wow.
And like, even like, so on my lips, like I felt like the fingers like on my lips, it's just really weird. Anyway, so right after that happened, the full apparition went and appeared at the bottom of the bed, and it was like a doppelganger of my boyfriend who I just left.
Oh
So
wow.
for a split second, I was thinking he was there, so I'm just like, what the hell? I just left him. I don't know what, like what's going on. And then, just realized, okay, now something like I'm home, he's there, he's not here, so like, all these things are going through my head. And so then he started coming towards me. Now he had a bit like the head was just like him, the whole body shape, the clothes that he was wearing, like he was wearing like sweats, like my boyfriend wears like sweats and
Right.
everything, like everything was exactly him. And so,
Wow.
but when he came towards me, the only light that was in the room was from the moon. Um, so when he came towards me, he leaned over to me, and so I couldn't see his face. His face was, it was like if you went out to like a clear sky, like at midnight with all the stars, like that distant black look. That's
Right.
what the face was like. Um, so I have no idea how long he was over me. No idea. But then he got up, he went up, and then he started going towards the door. When he did that, I heard like the footsteps in the carpet, and I heard like, like when people walk their thighs, like, like
Right.
their
You
thighs.
just hear that. Yeah.
So I heard that, and he went to the door, and then I noticed that there was nothing from the knees below. There was nothing there, but the door opened. He went out, the door shut, and then everything was lifted off of me.
Wow.
So from that night, like the lights were always on, the TV was blasting because I didn't want to hear that noise. I didn't want to see any shadow, like nothing. So it took me a long time to to
Wow.
to shut the lights back off, to go
Jeez.
back to bed. But because of that particular night is when I was like, that's it. Because what is going on in my house? And there was so many things that were going on um,
Right.
in the house even prior to that, which I was like, but after that night, when you actually see somebody like, oh my God, there is something. Before it was like, what's making that footsteps? What's doing this and what's doing that? But to have something actually there and you
Right.
see it is just, it's just a different feeling.
Well, I think like almost every investigator in the world of paranormal, they have that one moment that just seems to tip them over into,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to start learning more about this, and or I got to know. And I think even then, sometimes it's gradual. Like it just keeps pulling you. Like you'll start to kind of learn some answers, and then it seems to kind of pull you in more. As did you feel the same way? Did it kind of start to pull you in more and more as the more you learned?
I I think I was so nervous about going into the house that I used to sit outside of my driveway in my car waiting for my parents to come home.
Wow.
So I,
Well, an incident
um,
like that, yeah, that would be very
yeah,
terrifying.
I just, what? I've never gotten hurt. So nothing ever hurt me. Nothing ever hurt anybody in the house, but it was the what if thing, sometimes when you're going down the stairs, you feel like, are they going to push me? Like, I mean, just crazy things go through your head. And also the feeling was not a good feeling. It
Right.
was, it was a very, very creepy, not happy feeling when you go into the house. So it was, and again, it never hurt us, but
Right.
I never wanted to be in there by myself. So my whole thing was, and this was back in the 90s, or, early to mid 90s. So you don't really talk to many people about it. And so it was just a lot of like research and stuff like that of, okay, let me go read some books and let me talk to some people who are not going to think I'm crazy.
Right.
So it was a lot of that. And the more that I talked to people, the more that I found out, it does relax you. It just, okay, um, so but the reason why it took me in is because I knew how scared I was. So for me, when I started talking to people, um, they were telling me about their problems.
Right.
So the more that I figured out, then I started telling them of what I've learned. And so it kind of spiraled from there, and then I'm like, you know what? I need to help these other people. So that's kind of how I got into the whole thing because I would have wanted somebody to help me.
Right.
Well, and it was just like there's nobody to call. We called the cops so many times because our house alarm kept going off. When
Right.
it's not even set, it's like, oh my God. So, I mean, the cops would constantly come around, and it's like, um, it was just enough.
Right.
So that's kind of, that is what how it got started.
Well, and I think too, like people forget too that really before 2004, when Ghost Hunters came out originally, you know, before that, people forget that it was kind of odd to talk about paranormal. And if you did, a lot of times people thought you were crazy. They almost lumped you into aliens, UFOs, flat Earth, or something. It's like all of a sudden you went from like a normal person to like this crazy person. So it was kind of odd to talk about those things.
Yeah.
So I definitely get where you're coming from on that. Now, so what was it like when you got into the field and you were in there for a while? What was it like when you maybe got that call to be on the show? Because you did start with Ghost Hunters the original seasons, right? Toward later on.
Mhm.
What was it like when you got that call for the show?
Um, Actually, I've been friends with Jason for a really long time. Um, so there's a lot of stories. Um, but we've always had that relationship. We were like always friends. Oh, he like friends as in my husband and I and the kids used to go to his place and and our kids used to play together. Like so we were all very close,
Okay.
people. And Grant also. Um, and so again, he knew the person that I was. He knew the type of um, it, uh, investigator that I was. So it wasn't like I went out to go and audition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't any of that. Like we're friends. He knows how I work, and I know the guys. So it wasn't. It's not like, oh, let's just pick this girl and come on in. It's just another friend that he can trust, and
Right.
that we all work well together with to come on in and work.
How did he ask you? Was it just like one of those casual, like, hey, so you want to come on the show now, or?
Oh my God, this was like I don't know how many years ago. I really don't know. It was definitely over the phone. Um, but I don't even know. I know I've called him quite a few times because when I had like my home team and stuff like that. Um, and there's a couple of times where I had to call him and be like, I don't even know. I don't even know where to go. I don't even know what this thing is. And I
Right.
had to ask him for help. And so he's always there to help, you know. And I don't know, just one of our conversations just came up and it just happened to be,
Nice.
yeah.
So you worked on the show for a while, and then what was it like when for you? What was it like for you when the show had to end, though? Because I know even just regular fans and viewers, were a little saddened when that show finally came to an end. What was it like for yourself when you first? I mean, obviously you probably knew before everybody did, but what was it like for you when you kind of got that official call?
Um, of course we were all sad. But but also, I mean, reality wise, it's not like, I mean, nothing can just continue, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, um, and it is what it is what
Yeah.
it is. I am just very, um, happy and glad to have that opportunity to be on the show and to be working with them. They were all just amazing, amazing people. I absolutely love like all of them.
So
Um,
with that being said, so what was it like to get the call to come back and do Ghost Nation? I mean, how cool was that? Like, what was that like when they called you and said, "Hey, guess what?"
yeah. We need help. Well, you know what? For Ghost Nation, I'm an investigator, but I'm not one of I mean, it's the boys.
Sure.
So they needed help with going through a lot of the evidence because hours and hours and hours of footage is going on.
Right.
Um, so for season one, like they hardly had any sleep because I mean, they're doing all of the research stuff, they're going through all the footage, and they're doing the investigation. There's so much that they're doing. They were like, okay, we need help. So that's why I'm on there, is to help with the footage, why I'm on the monitors all the time.
Well, no, I mean,
Um,
and that's always a good point because so
yeah,
many people don't realize what goes into the shows, what goes into those things. They see that 43 minutes, ish
yeah,
time frame altogether. They don't see the amount of work that
yeah.
goes into it. So, what can you talk about the team dynamics?
As
As in,
in,
I'm sorry, the team dynamics is in just between your relationship with everybody on the show and what's that like for you?
um, you know what? First of all, them. They are. they are just genuine, loving, super nice guys. So not only investigating wise, very intelligent, with what they do, um, on the camera, off the camera, they're the same person. They're very genuine and down to earth. I mean, you know me, we talked about before, very sarcastic and everything. Like that's how we all are. We laugh and
Right.
joke around and do everything, so it's very, very fun. But yet we're very serious when we're getting the work done.
Okay.
So during the investigations, it's okay, let's do it from beginning to end. Let's do it. So we do it. But of course, it's like, what, 12 to 14 hours a day or something, I don't know. Um, you're gonna joke around. So
Yeah.
we do, there is quite a bit of joking around. But there is a lot of all right, let's get down to it. Let's try to figure out what's going on. And we all work together. We all talk about everything together. It's not, well, like I'm lead, so I get it. They're not like that. They're, let's all talk together. We're a
Right.
team. Let's try to figure it out. Which is, I mean, it's awesome.
That's good. I
Yeah.
mean, it's good when you have that kind of team dynamic where you can
Yeah.
have that open communication versus, I've seen some teams where there's just like a one leader or two and they want to hear themselves talk and it's always
Mm,
about their theories, their
right.
opinions and so
Right. Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad to
No,
hear that.
I don't, definitely don't like that. I've heard many teams like that. Um, and again, we are all very good friends. We were friends beforehand. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So it's not like they just, picked me out of a list.
Right.
And I think that that actually helps too, and we all trust each other. We're all, let's all do this together and very team oriented and just, so it definitely helps.
Yeah. Now, you said you guys joke around. Is there any pranksters? Or is it just like goofy if it's just joke around or is there actual pranks going on?
Yeah. You know what? The boys they're always pranking at each other. Always, always, always. Every once in a while they'll get me, but but I try to like keep my back to the wall so that so I always know what's going on.
Right. Try to keep
But
that
yeah,
field
but
vision.
yeah. I'm always I mean my wall is always up. I'm always, um but they are always pranking each other.
That's
Yeah.
funny. So a lot of times in paranormal, we have, I guess you'd say, a range of intuitive all the way to super tech, right? Where do you kind of see yourself in that scale? Are you tech heavy, intuitive, a little bit of both? Where do you fall in that scale?
Um I I wouldn't call myself a sensitive, but every once in a while, because it's not every time, but every once in a while, if something is going on, sometimes I feel, like you're always, you could go with your gut. You just try to like, use those instincts.
Right.
And sometimes you can maybe sort of pick up something, like pick up their energy if they're not nice or if they are nice or if you think it's a child versus an adult, like so I do pick up that every once in a while. But it's not all the time. I'm not a psychic, I'm not a medium.
Right.
I do rely on um the equipment for most of it because, I mean, first of all, we need the evidence,
Right.
so I do, of course, I'll go with my instincts and try really hard with that. But of course, the backup with the equipment is always the number one thing for me.
Yeah. And well, and that's so true because the intuitive part, I think, especially the more you're in the field, is your intuition really kind of develops along even more. You just tend to pick up that intuitive practice for a while.
Mm,
Um, Now, I think for right now, my current team dynamic is my wife and I, and she's a lot more sensitive than me, and she can pick up a lot more details. So for me, it's like I'll rely on my sensitivity for like positive, negative, but then I kind of rely on our connection to sort of make sure that it's like she's a little more in tuned with specific areas, and that kind of helps us for our investigation.
Oh, nice.
Um, so yeah, I definitely think that it's good to have a little bit of that, but you also have
Mm,
to have the tech, of
yeah.
course, to
Oh,
prove to
absolutely.
people. Now,
Yeah.
what do you think about when you get evidence that you know is there, and you know it's there, you experienced it, and then you look at the tech and it's like it's not there? How frustrating is
It's
that for you?
aggravating.
Oh, I know, and
Very aggravating. Um we find so many things like the episodes that you guys have seen. There were so many things. Sorry. There were so many things that we found, but it's not going to relay very well on TV.
right,
So it's just like, so we have both of, Jesus, we had that experience, but it doesn't, you can't hear it or you can't see it or whatever it is. Um, and then you have like the ones that you sort of hear it, but there's no way that you're even going to hear it on TV by the time it,
right.
goes into that. Um, so it's irritating.
Now
You
I
know,
know we kind of talked a little bit. We've been kind of touching it here and there. How many hours? Matt even asked how many hours go into making an episode, um, because I think again there's a lot of misconception when people just watch 43 minutes. So if you could kind of elaborate for the folks out there, what goes
yeah.
into an episode?
Um, so we shoot, I mean, I don't even know how many hours the crew themselves shoot with the B-roll.
Right,
Um, and I'm not, because sometimes I'm still, going over the stuff, going over all the stuff while the guys are out doing their research and everything. So there's hours and hours of going on. Um, we're usually at a place around like a week, but it might be pushed to 2 weeks if the place is bigger or if we have to come back. Um, and then that'll be usually like a 2-hour show that, if that has to happen.
right.
Um, but so it's 1 week for a 43 minute show. So, and
Wow.
if we're filming, 12 to 14 hours a day of an average, because I don't really know. Um, so that times a week. So, you get hours and hours and hours and put everything into 43 minutes. There's a lot that's cut out, a
Right,
lot. So they're only picking and choosing what they want for the show, um, which is still today. People will say, well, why didn't they ask those questions? And
yeah,
what about that noise? Or that noise is just the house, that, whatever. And like all these questions, and we're like, we know. We're like, we
yeah,
did ask those questions, but they just didn't show it. The noise is another thing is that people don't understand is that when we go into a room, we're there for a while.
right,
Like you got to figure out what the environment noises are and try to figure out, what's going on. And so it's not like we just walk into a room and be like, oh, there's a noise, and then go into that's not what we're, it looks like that's what we're doing, but that's not what we're doing.
right.
So we get all the regular noises. And if something is not right, that's when we're like, oh, wait a second, what was that noise? Because we haven't heard that the entire time we were here. And so people make fun of that, and
Right. I
but
think
you,
it's a credit to your editors though too, because sometimes they can make it look so well edited, like, oh, they were only in that room for a few minutes asking a few questions, and so I mean I can see where that
yeah,
would be too.
and it's and it's fine, people, but it's weird how people are still asking questions after all of these years. Like Ghost Hunters was the same thing. Like we're there for a week, and and like it's down to these 40, I don't know, 43 or 45 minutes, whatever it is. And people would say the same things, and
Right.
we thought maybe that they would and all the shows, all the shows that are out there.
Right.
I don't know what their hours are, but we all typically get around that 40 something minutes, and obviously they're there a lot longer. Um, yeah, so that's a bit annoying.
Well, and
Like,
that's got to be crazy because, and people don't realize that. And I'm glad we're talking about that to people that, maybe had those questions in their mind was, how come we're this and how come that? And I know it's got to be crazy because I went just the other night and I spent like 2 hours in a abandoned house by myself. And now I'm sitting there trying to edit this video for Friday and I'm editing it down and I'm down to like an hour and 7 minutes. I'm just like, and I thought to myself, how would I be able to get this down to, what if I had to cut it down to 43 minutes?
right.
And then it's like, well, then you got to sacrifice this and sacrifice that. And then people are going to be upset because they saw cuts and this and that. And, so I definitely
That's
I can
that's
only imagine
yeah.
a week's worth
I
trying
mean,
to get it down to
and that's
43 minutes.
yeah,
And
and that's the thing is that you're trying to do this thing and think about everybody's questions. Well, somebody might question this, so let me put this in there. Somebody might question, so I don't know how they do it. It's crazy.
So I'm glad back when we did investigations all the time, I'm kind of glad that social media wasn't a big thing. I didn't have to worry about editing videos and do all that. We just went in and did the evidence, and then we just edited the evidence for the client.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but so you're on the Ghost Nations now, and I would just say, what is one of your maybe favorite locations that you've done so far with Ghost Nation?
With them. Um, I would say the jail, Mid Orange Correctional Facility. Um, there was so much action, so much activity, so much going on. Every single one of us like had crazy activity. And even when we were there for 2 weeks. And so even when we brought in the other crew, they all had activity. Like it was just, and the place was huge.
Right.
And just, I mean, just amazing. There was three of us in one of the rooms, and we were in there for so long, and it was like whoever was there was just hanging out with us the entire time. It was,
Wow.
I mean, it was amazing. Um, but yeah, I think that one, it was nice to be there for 2 weeks,
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But but that's even more stuff that I had to go through. So
yeah, right.
uh,
See, and people forget
yeah,
that the longer you're at an investigation, that's just hours upon
yeah,
hours upon every camera, every audio
yeah,
mic, every piece of equipment that can record. You have
yeah,
to sort through it all, so you have to multiply. Like that's why I try, and even on a
yeah,
small scale, we try to get that to regular people. It's like, look, even if you're there for like 2 hours, if you have 5 or 6 pieces of equipment, that's still 10, 11, 12 hours worth of editing or just
right,
evidence review. And then you got to try to figure out what's good, what's bad, debunk stuff.
right,
But yeah, yeah.
right.
I mean, so
I mean, and that's the other thing is that we go through everything.
right,
So it's Jason, Steve, Dave, me. We are the only four that go through all of our stuff.
really
So and then we put everything down. Nobody else touches our stuff.
doesn't get outsourced to anybody.
Nobody else is allowed to touch our stuff except for us four.
Wow, that's
So,
nice.
and that's the other thing that people don't get that, so they're just like, Sherry, what else do you do? And I'm like, that's what I do. Because that's why I'm there, is to help the three guys because, they're out doing all these other things too.
Right.
They're like, we have no time to sleep. Like there's no time to sleep. So, so that's why I'm there, is to help them. Nobody else touches this stuff.
Okay.
So,
Um, yeah, and I guess along the way, when you're out doing investigation, now if you want, I'll expand this to. It doesn't just have to be when you're with Ghost Nation.
Yeah.
but just in your overall time, we all have funny moments that happen. So, have you had a funny moment during like an investigation, and could you tell
Oh,
us about it? What sticks out in your mind?
inappropriate stuff.
Oh, I didn't say inappropriate stuff, but
Oh, that's what popped into my head. Oh no.
okay,
Um,
kids, time to go to bed. Now it's for the time for the adult version of the show.
oh boy. Let me see. Oh God, I'm trying to think of if I could say it. Um, well, I could probably say it. I don't know if I can say it. Oh God. Okay. Well,
I'm stumping around this one.
I'll,
She's
I'll
trying to
try to
pick
make
which
it.
story. She's like, what's the one that's like appropriate for the podcast? But I know there's some bad ones.
I am. I'm just trying to think. Oh God. Um, there, because there's a lot of times where I just go, we just go and have fun and just go ghost hunting and stuff.
Right.
And there was one time at a friend of my house, and and we were trying to. Oh my God. Um, my phone was on vibrate. And so somebody kept texting me because they were texting all these pictures,
Right.
appropriate pictures.
Okay.
And so they kept they kept doing that. But we I was sitting on a chair. I was sitting on like the armchair, and then there was like a couple of girls who were never ghost hunted before, nothing. So they're fresh new out of it on the chair, a few people over here. And so we're trying to get some EVPs, and all of a sudden my phone starts going off. The girls are screaming because they were like, "Oh my God," because it went through the whole couch. And so we were joking around and everything, and then they started talking about, oh yeah, that's Sherry with her, whatever. And
Oh
and then
God.
that was that whole conversation. But the EVP that came back was saying, "Oh, you can use my bleep instead."
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So not only was it but then you had the ghost to kind of come in there and throw a little insult to injury, huh?
yeah,
That's oh my God, that is hilarious.
yeah, yeah. So,
Oh,
oh my
I
God, I mean, just it was like everything was just so perfectly how everything was like said and done, and he just went right in there and said it. It was like, oh my God,
oh
yeah,
now I guess getting away from that topic, getting back to the to the paranormal stuff.
yeah.
No, that's funny. That is a good story. Favorite equipment. Okay, what out of the different equipment out there, what has been overall your favorite piece of equipment to maybe capture evidence, or I mean, if you had to kind of choose, well, what would be like your favorite maybe one or two pieces of equipment? Like if that's all you could use, maybe what would that be?
I usually go with the recorder, of course, and either a thermal or an IR camera. Usually, those are my two that I always go with. A lot of the other stuff, I mean, they're fun to play around with, but for definite evidence, I mean, what's better than actual voices and
Yeah.
answering questions and a body, so
Right. I
um
mean, I honestly think that it just seems like overall that's what you get the most results from is audio.
Hmm.
EVPs just seem to still be, to me, the highest amount. If you had to calculate, you're like, oh, I saw a dark shadow. Well, it's like once, but then you could have three or four EVPs. So,
Right. Yeah. I
so
mean, I would always have both, because it's not like one, this one might not pick up over here, or this one might not pick up what's over here, so it's always good to have, of course, as many things as you can. Of course, that's more things to go over, but
right,
when you get something, it's there. So,
yeah. And
yeah.
how's the with you know the COVID sheltering? We've all had to leave the field for a while. I mean, how have you had to deal with that? With having to get out of the field or filming?
Um, I've been homeschooling the kids as much as I can. That's been a mess. Um, uh, uh, thank God the phases are coming back. That's all I can say, because it just felt like we actually stopped. Um, I think we came home at like March 12 or something like that. So we actually stopped a few weeks before they said no more.
Right.
So it's been a while for us, but by going out. But it's been crazy. I mean, it's been crazy here only because of the kids. I mean, they're bored to death. They're like, enough, and then homeschooling is a lot tougher um, than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't help that. We have to Google that first before I can help you. Yeah, it's been pretty tough, but this week is the last week for school, thank God. So hopefully, and the phases are starting to come back now, thank God. We still have a couple of more weeks before we can go back to work.
Right.
Um,
You have to play catch
so
up now.
yes, yeah, we were supposed to have all of our stuff done, I think, um, by the end of July, beginning of August or something like that. But so now I think we have like 14 episodes that we have to, that we got to
Yeah.
do,
And it's
and
not
it
what
takes a
what
while. Obviously it's going to be at least a week at each place,
right.
unless somebody needs us, then we stay longer. So, so we don't really exactly know how long it's going to take us to do everything. Um,
And that's really cool. That's really cool that you're not just confined to that week and you're like, oh, we're out of here. Deuces, see ya. Uh,
right. Yeah.
that
No.
you'll stay if a
Yeah.
client needs you to, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
need to know that.
Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's the other thing, that I do see comments, which is very hard to not comment on these things. But people, you do see, oh, that's nice. Just leave them high and dry. You don't even know, what's going on. And it's like, no, that's not true. Like, they have our phone number. If there's an issue, they will call us back. But at the end of those episodes, they actually talk to the people for a very long time. It's not like it's sorry, my phone keeps going off.
That's all right.
It's not like they're actually sitting in there for 2 minutes when you see them at the end of the show, and
Right.
they have those 2 minutes. The guys just don't come in. Nope, nope, and and then go. They actually sit in there with them for a very long time and talk to them and discuss, everything that's going on until the people say, okay, like, I have no more questions. I'm good to go. I'm fine,
Right.
um, and that's what they should know also.
Right.
Also,
And is
um,
there like resources for the clients afterwards? I mean, obviously they probably can
well, we have
contact
the
them.
locals there that like went in there prior to us, so they can call them at all times.
Right.
And if they need to contact us again, then they'll just contact us again, and then we can always go back out, no problem.
Like that
You
support
know,
network.
yeah. And
Yeah,
that's,
and that's good.
that's what the UPRO, the United Paranormal Research Organization,
Right.
that's what it's all about, is the groups all helping each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just there's TAPS also, but it's just, TAPS are, just helping out the people, and the UPRO is just all the groups need to help out each other also.
Yeah, and that's something we even do on a local level, even just ourselves, myself, SRS Paranormal Brew, some different people in this region that we're in. We try to have that paranormal unity, and we kind of cut through the egos and just focus on, hey, like it doesn't matter, what we're doing individually, but when it comes to helping people and just helping each other too,
Right,
we just do it.
right.
We don't even worry about anything with that. We
Yeah,
just automatically help each other out and take care of ourselves,
right. And I
or
mean,
each other.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing when we go there, I mean, obviously we meet up with the locals and they investigate with us. So it's just like, all right, well, let's go out, and they'll just tell us about their experiences, when, where, and like what happened and stuff, and we all just work together. And of course, you teach them, they teach us, like, because there's always something, that you can learn from different people.
Right.
So, and sometimes it does help being on the TV, because you can dig a little bit more into the history. People will talk to us a little bit more than they just will a paranormal investigator. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it does help, with us with research, getting into where we need to get, the information for the houses. So,
I did notice. I noticed a difference in talking with clients back in the early 2000s when we did represent the TV show. We would show up to their house, and even though we weren't Jason or Grant, we were representing the show because they sent their case in, and then all of a
mhm,
sudden we're showing up and calling them, so they lumped us into that same category.
yeah,
So we would show up to do those preliminary investigations, and they definitely were a lot more forthcoming, or we just tended to get more resources, more help with
right,
historians and things like that. We could be like, hey, we're here doing this case for this reason, and they'd be like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Now, when you're researching things and you're just like a normal person again, they're like, yeah, like they don't really want to return calls and different
right,
things like that. So there's definitely an advantage
yeah,
to that, and that's awesome.
yeah.
So uh, I guess one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is how do you feel about the industry as a whole? Like, where do you feel like we're at? Do you feel like we're making some really good progress? Are we kind of spinning our wheels a little bit? Where do you feel like we're at in terms of just research with paranormal over the entire industry?
Um, I feel like we've come a long way, but I also feel like I've been hearing the same things for
Yeah,
a while now. I haven't heard it just seems like we've come a long way, but I feel like it's kind of just maybe stopped or something. I don't, or we've hit a wall or something. I'm not really
yeah,
sure. It's kind of like the aliens. They're really still hiding, you know. I don't, so I definitely, from when I started to now, definitely, it's grown, but
I think tech
I don't
advancement,
know.
tech advancement, seems to be yes. I would definitely say
It,
from the
y-
time like the 90s and early 2000s, the times I've definitely seen a change in just taking a phone or camera, and that now we got
oh,
all this
right.
other fancy equipment and REM pods and all these different things and recorders, and now uh, NASA cameras. I don't know. So there's
Yeah,
definitely been a lot of, I think, scientific
right.
advancement or
Absolutely. Yeah.
tech advancement. But
But as for like evidence, I just feel that I don't know. I mean, like we've seen. I just feel like we've seen the same things over and over again. I don't know why. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of pictures out there that other people have. Um, Unfortunately, nowadays people like to fake things.
uh,
So it's like even if they do have it, I still don't even look at it because I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fake. So I usually don't I usually just, um,
And that's sad. That's sad
it,
because
yeah, it
if you
really
do
is.
get evidence,
Yeah,
there's never enough evidence for the skeptic, you
yeah,
know? And I could go and take a full blown a picture of a full blown apparition right now and post and be like, hey, check this out, and people are gonna be like,
right,
fake. It's like,
right,
what?
right, right. It's, yeah, and that's the thing. Like these things, people could really have really good pictures.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just it's hard to believe anybody, and it's hard to trust anybody nowadays with the things that you can do. So,
All right, so a little bit of a fun question, and this is something I'm going to steal from SOS Paranormal because I think they forgot to ask you. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. This is another little fun question, but um, we all know that it seems as if ghosts don't seem to be naked. So if you had to choose your ghost outfit, all right, so let's say, God forbid, you pass away and somebody captures your image. What ghost outfit would you like to be wearing?
wow.
Yeah, hitting you with the hard stuff.
Maybe a cat suit. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't know. Um, God, what? Um,
Stumping
hmm.
her again.
I know. Geez, and I know there's another question coming up that you're that you're gonna stop me too. Um, God, I don't know. I'd probably have to say something that I would be really terrified if something ever appeared in front of me because I would like to terrify people, and it would
Right.
be a clown. I'd be in a
Yeah.
clown suit because I would like to scare people.
Right.
I can't just go like this and be like, or dressing normal. So I'd have
Right.
to, yeah.
See, that would be my luck, though. I wouldn't get anything fun because my wardrobe is, I would say my wardrobe is one notch above Simon Cowell's because I've just mostly like t shirt. And then
Yeah.
the only thing that separates me and one notch above is my crystal, maybe. So it's like I'm t shirt, shorts, or t shirt, jeans, and a crystal. So that'd be my outfit most likely I'd
That's
get stuck
it.
with. I
That's how
wouldn't
you
get in
want
like a
to, that's,
cool clown outfit or anything.
you don't want to do that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
give me a
no,
dark shroud.
I am a very, very boring person. I wear like black and gray. And I mean, right now I'm just in sweats. Sorry, but I'm just in sweats. I wear jeans, like I'm just very, but I wouldn't want to be that on the other side because I'd want to scare people. So I'd have to change before I can.
So you'd be a mischievous ghost.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, hey,
Of
fair
course.
enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's tackle this next question then, so we can get this out of the way. Because I did prep you with this one question,
I
so I
know.
wanted to try to give you enough time to think about this answer. But if you could go back in time as a ghost and just witness maybe one day events, one day, when would it be and why?
Um, I think I would actually, let me see. Sorry about my phone.
Sorry, it's a live
Um,
show.
sorry. So I have to answer now.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll edit it in
How
post.
much time do we have? Yeah.
We'll cut
I
out all
would
the dead air.
I would probably go back to the year 0000 and
Okay.
just see just see Christ born.
Hey, that's fair enough.
You know, I you know, I I believe, like let me put it this way. I am very spiritual, but I'm not religious.
Okay.
So I would like to actually see what had happened.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
fair enough. I mean, that's fair enough. There's nothing wrong with wanting to know those things. Like I said, I think I picked like a day of witnessing the pyramids being built because I felt like for me it would really answer a lot of questions that ultimately would answer other questions
Hmm.
spiritually and everything. Really, just kind of a
Right.
big picture type of stuff. So, but that's fair. That's a good answer. So you made it past the question. Say it's not too hard.
Oh
Um,
my God. Yeah.
but but yeah. So what is your future plans? Do you what is your life looking? Do you have plans for like later on after the show? Is there something you're building towards? I mean, are you gonna go? Are you gonna stay with investigations long after the TV stuff?
Um, as long as I can. Um, it's it's what I love doing. It's always been, either on or off the TV. I love to do it. I love to help people. When people find out not who I am, but like what I do,
Right.
um, the conversations. They can last for a very long time. Um, and it's just like every conversation, you feel like you're helping somebody,
Yeah.
and you're kind of easing their, like making them more comfortable with whatever questions that they have and whatever stories they want to tell you. They're so excited that they can talk to somebody about it. And when I'm home, as long as I know the people, family, friends, or whatever, I'll even go to their house, and they're so appreciative, and it's just like call me anytime, it's questions, even just for people just to have a person to talk to about this issue, can help them such a long way. So it definitely helps.
Yeah.
So that is something that I will continue no matter what.
No, that's good. I think a lot of a common theme that you kind of hear with a lot of the investigators, even myself, is we all, or I don't want to say all, but I think a lot of us started in this industry trying to answer our own questions.
Right.
Even now, I still do, but I'm saying we start that way, and then at some point, if you get into a team or you start a team and you do your first investigation and you get a chance to maybe pass a message on or help a client out, it
Yeah.
it changes. Something changes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, really, the good investigators. I'm not talking about the other ones that are greedy and they're just doing it for themselves the whole
Right.
time.
Right.
But something I think changes in you as a person, and all of a sudden now you're doing these investigations for people to help people versus,
Right.
and through that of course you learn answers for yourself, but
Right.
the helping part of it. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. And
um,
I mean, there's quite a few times where you have the people so relieved that they just break down and cry, and it's like, wow, and like there was one that I did that the father never wanted to step foot back into the house where he grew up, that his daughter was living in there at that time. And I got the EVP from his father, which is the reason why he didn't want to go in there, saying that he
right.
was sorry, like he apologized to him and stuff like that. So the guy just sat down and
Wow.
of course I see him cry, then I start crying.
Right.
And oh yeah, everybody's crying that night. It was like, oh my God, but I mean, just to see that,
Right.
and it was like his whole life changed. Like, oh my God, my father, apologized to me. And now, and it's just, yeah, it is amazing.
And it really is. It's amazing whenever you get to have those moments.
Mm.
um, I didn't even think I would have a moment like that just in that abandoned house I just did. And I can't go into details because I haven't released it. So, you have to tune in and watch it, folks. But I was able to deliver a message, and I didn't think I'd be able. I didn't even think that opportunity would exist, but it happened. And
Yeah.
then when you get to deliver a positive message to the family, it to see
Mhm.
their reaction. I mean, it just it's amazing.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
really does,
absolutely.
and I love that. But as we start to wrap things up, as we near the hour mark, folks, if you have any last minute questions that you'd like to get in there, we did get a comment saying that they were going to go with the Grim Reaper. I guess that
That
might be
is a
their
good one. That's a good one.
their ghost outfit.
Yeah.
Also, folks, I have been scrolling the information in case you haven't been paying attention to the bottom of the screen, but I have been sharing your information of how people can follow you, and of course, tune in to Ghost Nation every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Travel Channel. I believe that's correct. Um,
Yes, we did the first, I think, what was it, like 6 or 7 weeks? I forget. But then we stopped because we had to do the COVID. So we're going to be starting up, and I don't know, I don't have the times of when the next part will start up, but I know a lot of people are asking about that also. So
right.
that's why we had to stop short. So we will continue.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, and that just means people's got to pay attention. They're gonna have to watch the Travel Channel and watch social
Just keep
media.
watching.
Pay attention, everybody. You got to
That's right.
look at the
Follow us.
social media and
Follow
and
us.
and follow. Click those
Yeah.
follow buttons. Click those like buttons. Shares. All
Yeah.
that good stuff. Y'all know what to do.
And
Um,
On Twitter during the show on Twitter, we all live tweet during the show.
yes, and that's fun. That's
Yeah.
fun. I love doing like lives
Yeah.
sometimes from locations, but where you don't give away anything, but just fun to do a little
Right.
bit of live. It's fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Or live tweeting. That's just fun for people, I think.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
and that's why I love doing the live show too, because I always tell people that this is a show you can participate in.
Right.
And speaking of which, Tata Longo said, "Are you ever coming to New Orleans?"
No, but I would love to. I kind of go wherever they tell me to go. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of our events have been postponed this year until
Right.
next year. Not that I was going to go to New Orleans, but maybe at some point, because I would definitely love to go down there to actually do like an investigating. I
Yeah.
hear so many places that are that are haunted down there. I would love to get down there.
How much notice do they give you for like when you go to shoot like an upcoming season? Do you get like an itinerary of the locations, or is it kind of like, hey, this week we're going here. Hey, this week we're going here. Do they kind of keep that from you,
Uh,
or
um, no, we um, usually we're kind of like 3 weeks out. So we'll kind of know whereabouts we're going.
okay?
Um, you know, New York, or whatever. Um, and then we'll kind of get our, weekly schedule of, okay, we're going here, whatever. Because obviously we have to travel there. Um, I forget what I was even gonna say.
That's okay. My
But I travel, sorry, like, Jason and I travel back home every weekend because we have our kids.
yeah,
He's got his kids, I have my kids. Um, so we kind of travel back home, and so we're kind of constantly flying back and forth. And Dave, he'll either way, but Steve, he drives, and so
yeah.
so we kind of
No
usually
flying
know.
for him.
So we kind of usually know, like, within our three of weeks of what we need to do. And if we have events, we'll most likely fly to that event and then fly back to filming wherever we're filming and not even go home type of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my wife chimed in the chat. She said that you need to come to Tennessee. You need to come to Bristol one of these days.
I
We've
would
got a
love
lot of haunted
to.
areas.
I would love to. I don't even know if there's any events or anything going on, is there?
Now I do know that close to their SRS Paranormal, they're going to be doing the Hexpo.
Oh, right. We did discuss that.
Right, and that's next spring. I'm in the lineup,
Yeah.
and we're going to be there in Asheville, which is pretty close. It's just right through the mountains. There, it's like hour and a half away, kind of type thing.
All right.
So, but when you get in these mountains, there's definitely a lot of cool things to check out here. So yeah, I would say definitely you need to make your way this way. It would be pretty good times, and you definitely got a lot of support here now. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, you guys know who to call.
exactly. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but guys, I'm gonna start wrapping things up. We had a few people participating tonight. I appreciate that, folks. Definitely tune in. Um, Also, Sherry, stick around when we go off the air. Just got one more thing for you. But guys, I really appreciate you tuning in. Sherry, thank you so much for
You're
coming on my
welcome.
little show here.
You're
Hopefully,
welcome.
we'll get to work with you guys on another level someday. I look forward to that.
Same
Again,
here.
guys, check out Ghost Nation on the Travel Channel. Pay attention for the times coming up. They may change. Who knows? So, but for now, Wednesday, 9 p.m. on the Travel Channel, guys. Again, thank you to Shari DeBenedetti. I had to practice saying that so I wouldn't screw that up.
Thank you.
So, thank you guys. And remember, seek the truth.